read for us the Rotary information for the day on the subject Rotary and the United Nations. P. Yoga.
RP, am I audible?
Loud and clear, P.
Rotary and the United Nations. Rotary information for today's meeting. Rotary and the United Nations have a shared history of working towards peace and addressing humanitarian issues around the world. During World War II, Rotary informed and educated members about the formation of the United Nations and the importance of planning for peace. Materials such as the booklet From Here On and articles in the Rotarian help members understand the UN before it was formally established and follow its works after its charter. Many countries were fighting the war when the term United Nations was first used officially in the 1942 Declaration by United Nations. The 26 nations that signed its pledge to uphold the ideals expressed by the United States and the United Kingdom the previous year of the common principles on which they based their hopes for a better future for the world. Rotary International was one of 42 organizations the United States invited to serve as consultants to its delegation at the San Francisco conference. Each organization had seats for 3 representatives, so Rotary International's 11 representatives served in rotation. The people officially representing Rotary included the General Secretary, the editor of the Rotarian, and several past presidents. Other Rotarians from Africa, Asia, Europe, and North and South America served as members of their own nation's delegation. Rotarians also served as consultants to their national delegations. Just before the meeting began, Rotary International published and distributed the pattern for the San Francisco Conference pamphlet. It is a splendid opportunity for the individual Rotarian to fulfill the objective of international service. The document proclaimed by taking part in the debate on this scheme of world government. Rotarian presidents, fellow Rotarian, and guests, the Rotary information for today's meeting.
Thank you very much, P. Yoga, for such an elaborate Rotary information on the subject. And Gloria, you have the floor.
Thank you, RP. Good evening, RP, fellow Rotarians, retractors, and guests. For our speaker today, we have Selorm Djaba-Mensah. She's an interior designer and a project manager with extensive experience in the design environment. As an interior designer, one of her altruistic and broader missions has always been to create environments that meet human needs and support human activities. Hence, the need to succeed as the constructive household name in the interior design consultancy, alongside providing valuable services and satisfaction through execution of her projects. Her passion has always been about assisting others into making every space charming, functional, and peaceful by inculcating both feng shui principles and color psychology. It is also her dream to contribute back to the interior design industry by offering her skills and expertise in training and coaching new entrants into the field. Therefore, she is committed to working hard to make her goals a reality. RP, our resource person for today.
Thank you very much, Ruth and Gloria. Before our speaker takes the floor, I'll be grateful if a member can please draw the attention of PP Eddie Hayford and PP Frank. They have joined the meeting, but they've not joined with their audio devices. Hence, they might not be able to hear anything we say here. So PP Frank and PP Eddie Hayford, if a member could please draw their attention. Return, Selorm Djaba-Mensah, you have the floor, please.
Good evening, fellow Rotarians. Thank you, Rotarian President Andrews. Thank you so much for the honor. Thank you, fellow Rotarians of Rotary Club of Accra East. It's good to be back here. It's been a long time, anyway. Again. Okay, sorry. So it's good to be back here to actually for today.
President Selorm, kindly hold on. There's a device on. President Martins, Remy, s'il vous plaît, your device is on, please. Your microphone is on. Merci beaucoup. Okay, please.
Okay. Hello.
Please proceed. We can hear you.
Okay. So I mean, as the topic for today goes, I mean, interior design, interior decoration as a vocation. So I don't know, but it looks like we might have to first demystify. I would have to first help us clarify and understand the differences in the names as a decorator or a designer. But then before I move on, I would want to quickly seek for any questions, any particular questions or any particular areas you want me to hit on as I go through. Maybe if there's any question you would like, any particular area you'd want me to hit on, please bring it up so that, I mean, I'll just ensure as I go through whatever it is we're going to discuss here. Is there any question, please?
President Selorm, for me, there are two things. I would want you to look at colors and then artifacts within the interior decoration space. Those are the two things I'm looking for. Artifact, the role of artifact within the interior decoration space. Those are the two things I wish you. I don't know if other people have, other Rotarians have.
Okay. Okay, I'll touch on that, please. Any other question? Any other particular thing? Okay, maybe the question I'm saying. Okay, so back to the agenda. So before I move on, so these are going to be the particular areas I'll touch on briefly. If looking at interior design or interior decoration as a profession or as a vocation, I would want us to quickly understand what interior design is and what it entails. I mean, who is an interior designer, or what it entails to be an interior designer and an interior decorator. And then also try and clarify the differences between the two. Who is an interior designer and a decorator, or what does both entail? And then what does an interior designer do? What are some of the roles, the responsibilities, or the services an interior designer provides? And then as a career path, as a career or profession, what are some of the various aspects, the various career paths or professions in both? Yes, the interior design is a whole profession, but then underneath it, there are various career paths, there are various niches one can actually focus on if you want to become one. And then also we'll go on to, I mean, discuss some of these general questions like what Andrew has just brought up, Rotarian President Andrew has brought up, color and then artifacts and the roles they play in designing a space. So first of all, who is an interior designer? What is interior design? So interior design basically entails the use of creative skills, the use of creative skills and technical knowledge and principles here and there to put together a space, an inviting space, a beautiful space, an appealing space, or whatever you want to call it, as well as making it functional. For me, the functional aspect really is very important to me, because I'm very sure you might all agree with me, there could be spaces that are very beautiful, but dysfunctional. I don't know if anybody has actually ever encountered a bedroom or an office space or a hotel room. You go to the hotel room and you realize the bed is here, you want to plug your phone, you want to charge your phone, and the whole room has only one socket. The TV is plugged there, you want to charge your phone and you are wondering, where do I stop, why do I plug it? Or you enter a particular room and the doors are hitting here and there, the door is hitting the table. You want to walk in and you either have to squeeze yourself. I mean, mostly this all has to do with functionality, how the place was really organized. In actual sense, yes, the room can be beautiful, but not functional. So for me, that usually really is very priority for me, to me. So designing a space, you have to make sure that the space is very functional and beautiful as well. And this entails mostly, before you can achieve this, understanding trends in the industry, design trends in the industry, preferences and the styles of customers or the human beings you deal with. Usually, these are some of the key things you put in place to be able to come up with all those things. You have to understand trends. What are some people might not gel well with trending stuff, but then you will be able to have to understand what type of bathtub should I choose? What type of style should I choose because of this and this and that? Which one is involved now? What are their preferences? Do they like it this way or that way? What style do you want? You know, people, I'm sure a lot of us might have heard what minimalism is. I'm a minimalist, I like contemporary, I like traditional. Do you really understand what all those? So you have to get to understand all these to be able to put together a beautiful and functional space, right? I hope we are good. Anyway, and then when it comes to designing a decorator, who is an interior designer and who is a decorator? Now, this is where a lot of confusion comes in. Most people tend to usually use them interchangeably, although they are very similar. I mean, the roles and responsibilities are usually very close. There are some differences in between. So an interior designer mostly is a bit, simply put, is a little bit technical. So an interior designer usually is involved in the space planning of the space. First of all, that's one of the key things. He's involved with the spatial planning of the space or the room, right? The space or the room usually helps with choosing the best finishes for the space. Sometimes it's involved in renovations and remodeling of the space, choosing the best finishes, the best materials, the best fixtures for the space, drawing up plans for the space, and helping actually plan the space, putting things in place. Where do we locate this? Where do we put the bed? Where do we put the door? Where do we put this? Where do we use as a TV wall? And then mostly, finally, to the decorative stage, where, I mean, after everything is done, you add the accessories to actually enhance the space after everything is done. So designers mostly are not only engaged in just enhancing the look or just adding beauty to the space. Usually, which on the other side of the case is the decorator. The decorator's job usually comes in right after almost everything is done. The decoration is usually what a lot of people are used to, usually adding the soft finishes, adding accessories, adding plants, adding curtains, adding blah, blah, blah. All those little things that come in to make the place look beautiful. Usually that is the last stage of the construction space, construction project. I hope we get the differences now.
Yes, kindly proceed.
Okay. Now, so what does the job of an interior designer entail? What is the job of an interior designer and the decorator as well? So the interior designer, from what I have mentioned, usually is involved in the construction project process right from beginning, because of some of the things I have mentioned. Sometimes instead of waiting to the final stage instead of waiting to the finishing stage before bringing in the designer, because by then a lot of things might have gone wrong. A lot of things might have gone wrong. So the designer is usually involved right from the planning stage to help know that, okay, if this is a bedroom, this, because we're going to put the bed here, we're going to put the TV here, we're going to do this. Let's make sure there's a provision for socket here. Let's make sure there's provision for light fixture on this wall. Let's make sure this is going to be the type of light we'll be using. Hence, the electrician should make sure there is provision for strip lights all along the place. I'm sure a lot of us, especially the homeowners here and those in the construction industry, usually face this every now and then. They wait till the final phase of the finishing, and then they bring in the designer. Okay, let's use this light, and there's no provision. Let's use the strip light all around, and the electrician has to now rewire, do a lot of rechiseling here and there, which is usually costly, a lot of extra costs. So to prevent all these things, mostly you bring in the designer at the earlier stage to help make sure, okay, because of this and this and that, let's make provision for that. You want to design a kitchen, you get to the latter stage and you want to put an island in the middle of the kitchen with a sink on it. The plumber didn't make provision for all that. What happens? Now the plumber has to come in, which is to make another provision for all those things, which is going to delay, bring in extra costs. So to prevent all these things, mostly the designer comes in as an advisor to help advise on all these things while the project is progressing, ensure that the right things are being done, the right finishes are selected from tiling. What size of tiles do we choose? What design of tiles do we choose? What color of tiles do we choose? Since here is a bedroom, what colors do we choose for the tile? What patterns do we choose for the tile? What size of tiles do we put here? What type of lights do we use here? I know a lot of people, a lot of us are usually not used to, people that actually didn't know that most of these are actually the work of the designer. But then also the architect is usually also another person who has almost all this knowledge that can help. Yes, gone are the days it used to be one profession in designing. So there's a thin line between the work of the designer, interior designer, and the architect. But let's not go there. So the designer comes in to help with all these right from the beginning. Now, what colors do we choose for the space? If this is an office, what paint colors do we choose for here? What color of tables, what color of doors, what color of ceiling, what color of this and that would enhance the kind of space we want, the kind of mood we like to have here. If it's an office and we think we need a very serene environment to be able to work, depending on what the company is into, there are certain colors you might not even want to consider. This actually helps in choosing the best of colors, the best of color for the tiles, the best of color for the walls, the best of color for the doors. Because all these, I'm sure we all know, and we all actually have experienced one way or the other, but color actually does affect people's mood. Color does affect the mood. When you are in an office and the whole place is painted black, it might work for a company, an organization, it might not work for another. So you see it elsewhere, you think, oh, black office is beautiful. Let me do it for my office as well. Let me do it for my office as well. It might not work. It might not work. So the designer as well comes in to help with all the selection of these finishes, the best color, the best finish, the best materials to use, the best floor plan, the best layout for the office. Should we arrange it this way? How many people are going to be in this office? What are the basic activities, day-to-day activities that go on here in the office? Then let's do it this way. Let's arrange it this way. One desk should go here, one desk should come here. This is the cabinet. To help make sure that the office is, at the end of the day, functional and movement is easy. The designer as well produces plans, the floor plans, the drawings of the floor. So mostly the floor plan is different from the building plan, please. The building plan is usually provided by the architect. The floor plan is actually the plans, the drawings of the interior, the floor, the drawings of all the interior that come up to make the structure. That is a floor plan. So the designer actually can do that. Sometimes if it's an old house and you want to make some changes here and there, you want to remodel, you want to make some changes to some of the little things in the room, you might have to come up with a new drawing, a new floor plan, because probably by then the original plan is missing, or you just want to make changes. That means coming up with a new drawing, a new plan altogether, so you can incorporate the new changes you want to make. I hope we're good. Any question, please? Hello, any questions, please?
Just to confirm, President Selorm, are you done with your presentation?
No, please.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe you finish and then we'll take questions after, if that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So the interior designer mostly along the project, along the construction, doesn't only serve as an advisor, right? Mostly also liaises with almost all the artisans and other consultants on the project, because at the end of the day, it is coming together, collaborating. Because if you need to make changes to the floor plan, you need to make changes at a point. Sometimes the engineer has to come in, the architect might have to come in. You're making choices of tiles for the room. The tiler has to come in, because most people, what I've noticed is, and I know a lot of us are guilty, when it gets to some of these stages, it gets to the floor tiling, the tiling of the space, you only leave it to the tiler to go and buy the tiles and come and install. Go and buy the tiles and come and install. I've been posting a lot of some of these dysfunctional spaces. You see a bathroom with some strange tiles here and there, and I posted one and someone was asking me, is this an oven? The tiles they chose, the tile the person chose, I don't know whoever made them choose those tiles. You see, the tiler is only mostly, in most cases, trained to install. Now, when it comes to the aesthetics, how beautiful it will look, how functional it will look, in most cases, a lot of them do not have that kind of technical skill to determine. And if you do that, you go ahead and you do that, at least you should be preparing for do I say disaster? Anyway, you enter certain bathrooms and you realize the layout is totally off. There's a huge bathroom, there's a huge space here, but then the plumber actually packs everything to one corner and leaves everything here, and then they are actually so tight that there's no space in between the WC and the sink. There's no space in between the sink and the shower and the bathtub. The planning actually from the beginning was dysfunctional. It didn't go well because it was a plumber who did his own thing. The lighting, I'm sure you might have entered a particular room and then realized the room is very huge. There's lighting here, artificial lighting here, but the room still looks dark. Why? Probably because the choice of lights they chose. The choice of lights they used here and there, either too small or there's no ventilation enough. The windows are either too small. The lights, the orientation of the windows and the doors, usually these all come in, but mostly we end up eliminating them, ignoring them. Then at the end of the day, it comes out, no matter what you do, it comes back to haunt us, right? Now, the creator, mostly, in most cases, as I mentioned earlier, the creator's job usually is to enhance everything after all these things are done. Mostly so that the creator comes in after the space is painted, light fixtures are installed, plumbing is done, the tiles are installed. Now the work of the decorator or decoration is mostly just enhancing the space with accessories and furniture. So we are helping select furniture, helping select the best plants, the best chairs, the best tables here and there, the best pictures to put here and there, where to put this picture, the best colors to bring in to make sure the room is still lively or peaceful or whatever you might want it. Hence, the decorator or the decorator's job would be to help you go around making the selections, buying, putting together a concept, ideas, and help you purchase or source them, and then bring them into style. Well, so now the latter part I would want us to look at is usually the various project focus areas, or in another way, you might also want to call it the career paths in this profession. So although interior design or interior decoration is a whole profession on its own, underneath it there are several other skills or professions that come in to make it whole, or sometimes are related to the profession. So when one mostly, we have those or designing that focuses mostly on residential properties. Those, or some people also tend to also focus only on that, residential properties. Their job is to design homes and spaces in the house, right? So they are very good with designing a bathroom, designing a bedroom, designing a kitchen, designing a home office, designing a family area, any space within the house. And then those who focus on commercial interior design, commercial design is usually, and there are people who also focus only on that, designing commercial spaces or places of business. So these might entail corporate spaces like an office, retail spaces like shops, supermarkets, pharmacy, etc., or hospitality spaces, hotels, restaurants, a health, a spa, a nightclub, salons, etc. That is also there. People also do focus on that. And then there are those who also focus maybe only on designing kitchens, which I think has become very common these days. There are a lot of kitchen design companies here and there, because the kitchen in the home is actually, from my experience, one of the most popular or the most prioritized spaces in the home. Yes, every family at least wants their kitchen to look good. If not anything at all, the kitchen is what they would. Even if the man says there's no money, the woman usually would want to pay for it. And then there are those who are also very skilled in designing kids' environments. Anywhere you find kids, for them, that is also their skill, or there are people who focus only on that. Designing kids' bedrooms, designing nurseries for kids, designing kids' study areas, kids' playgrounds, classrooms here and there. And then furniture design is also another aspect of interior design. Furniture design are those who also focus mainly on designing and carving furniture, putting together the concept behind almost all the furniture you see, the chairs you see, the tables you see, the TV units you see. That is also another aspect of interior design that people barely usually know of. And then color consultancy is usually also, as the name suggests, helping choose color, helping utilize color for any particular space. So you take a look at the bedroom, if it's a bedroom, an office, a law firm, they want you to design a space. You help them put together color, choose the best color that will suit their needs in that space. And there are home stages. Home stages, this is actually quite new in Ghana here. It seems like very few people actually understand it also. But then I decided to introduce a new course in that. So home staging is actually a little linked to real estate. So designing a home for it to be sold. Home staging is making sure the space looks good for it to be sold. Mostly in Ghana here, what we are used to is actually putting on the market the empty house. So home buyer, when buyers come to view the place, the house is actually empty. But then also another thing, according to research, is usually enhancing the space so that when buyers come, it looks appealing. They can easily see themselves using the space. They can easily see themselves on how to actually utilize some of the spaces in there. So when you stage the space, it gives them ideas about how, okay, if I buy this house, I can do this here. It looks like this looks nice. Sometimes so they end up either buying with all the furniture in it. Because according to research, it helps selling easy. It helps selling, making the selling procedure quick. People buy either quicker when the home is actually mostly staged. And then also another thing, finally, another aspect that is also usually linked to interior design is organizing and decluttering spaces. I'm very sure there are quite a number of us who are very good already, are natural organizers. So when I say organizers, there are those of us, I'm sure, if I come to your offices right now, your desks are looking very cluttered, right? Very messy, full of files and papers here and there. The kitchens are looking very messy. Saucepans are lying everywhere, the spoons are here and there. We can't know. Ghanaians always don't like the idea of open floor plans because the kitchens, they don't want anybody to see their kitchens. Ghanaians don't like the idea of open floor plans at all. Those living rooms where you can easily see the kitchen from afar. On several occasions, I've had home buyers buying such buildings and asking us to partition the kitchen from the living room. Why? Because mostly they don't want anybody to see their kitchen. Why? It's either because they can't keep the place organized, mostly. Mostly, and then some also say, no, I don't want anybody to see what I'm cooking. So, so in such cases, there are people who are actually skilled in making sure the kitchen looks well organized. The wardrobe, the closet looks well arranged. The clothes are neatly arranged and organized such that when you're looking for blue shirts, you know where to go. When you're looking for blue uniform, you know where to look. You know, such arrangements are usually therapeutic. Somebody can really arrange clothes and color code them such that you know where to find all my red shirts, where to find all my white suits, where to find all my this. You know, it makes life in the home easy. It makes life in the home easy. And I know there are some people also who move into new houses and for several months, they're still living in boxes. You can't organize anything. It's just you want to find that shoe and you can't find where you put it. After you moved into the new house for several months and you can't find where you put this, you can't find, yes, the whole place is still disorganized. That is when the organizer comes in to help you make sure, okay, this is where you brought the things. Now this is going here. Let's organize it here. Let's put this here. And then declutter them. Take out those ones you don't need, those ones you don't use. So these are all some of the career paths, the various skills and career paths that are linked to interior design. That's actually sometimes fall under interior design. That sometimes if you want to make a switch, if you want to switch into interior design and you don't want to go fully, you don't want to be a fool, you might not have the time, you can actually stick to any of these. These are all human needs. These are things I feel and I know from my experience, they are demands. There are people who are ready, and I know there are people who are actually suffering from all these issues here and there. Andrews, am I lying? Current President, please.
I don't know. I don't know whether you are asking me as a victim of what you just said, or you are asking of my opinion whether other people are victim of that.
Both.
I think you are not far from the truth.
Both. Anyway, is there anyone here actually going through experiencing any of these, or a victim? Or a victim? No.
I guess maybe when we get to the questions section, we'll get comments and contributions from others.
Okay. So with regards to interior design as a vocation or as a career profession, for now, I think, yes, I will have to end here. If there's any question with what I said, or you still want clarification on any of these things I have mentioned, you want to switch career, you need a little, probably, yes, please go ahead. I'm all ears. You can ask any questions.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Selorm, for that elaborate presentation. I think whilst your presentation was ongoing, fellow Rotarians, I think it's now time for questions. We already have the first question in the chat box. And before I take that, there were three things I learned from this: organizing and decluttering, the functional spaces. I've learned something that the spaces needs to be functional. And there's a question in the chat box. What courses can one take to become an interior designer? Fellow Rotarians, we just have 3 minutes for questions and we'll proceed. So if you have a question, kindly raise your hand up. Return Gloria has asked a question in the chat box that what questions can one take to become an interior designer and where? I think that's equally important. So if there are any questions, you can either put them in the chat box or raise your hand and you'll be given the opportunity to speak. The second question, the first one was from Return Gloria. The second one is talking about interior decor. What is your take about people using blinds in the bedroom? That's interesting. Talking about interior decor, what's your take on about people using blind in the bedroom? And the third question, which colors would you advise us to use for each space at home? It looks like the questions are just dripping in. Which colors would you advise us to use for each space at home? And the fourth one, apart from plant, how does one incorporate feng shui? I'm not sure it's an English word, feng shui, into their homes. I guess you might understand. I'm not an interior decorator. Fantastic presentation from Return Selorm. Home staging idea on my mind. Thanks for the insightful presentation. PP Bright, it's great to have you around. Return Early will be visiting you soon. So I think we'll take the first three questions, or four questions, as indicated in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay, so back to the first question that talks about what courses one can take to become an interior designer and where. So the first thing is, well, for now, as of now, until now, there used to be very few, actually no interior design courses in Ghana, no school that takes interior design. But currently, there's been some one or two universities or schools that have started incorporating design courses. Apparently, that was what sparked my interest in training people, because back then there were no schools that were taking interior design. But now I think Accra Polytechnic has a course in interior design. I think Takoradi Polytechnic too also has a course on that. For now, that is what I know of. And then I also do have courses and training sessions I do every now and then. So you can, so an architect, if you have a background in architecture, you can do both decoration and designing. Apparently, an architect gets to learn almost everything an interior design does. As I mentioned earlier, interior design and architecture is almost very the same. There's a very thin line between them. So interior designers and architects learn almost the same thing. So if you have a background in interior design, it will be very easy for you, right? Then again, you can decide to take some courses in color. There are courses on color. If you really love color a lot, you can decide to take a short course on that, color psychology, color theory, right, to help you make the best choices for colors in every room. If you are very good with, furniture, if you are very good in furniture, that is also another avenue for you. You just have to, polish the skill a bit and then make good use of that. For where, as I mentioned, apart from these schools in Ghana, Accra Poly and Takoradi Polytechnic, in Ghana, I don't know of any other school here that teaches interior design as a full-time profession. For architecture, KNUST and Central University, these are the two schools I know of architecture. Other than that, I also offer training on that. I have trainings, ongoing trainings every now and then.
President Selorm, can we move on to the next question? What's your take about people using blinds in the bedroom? Blinds in the bedroom.
Well, so this thing has been one of my worries. Blinds, again, I will still just leave it to be. The fact that Ghanaians like to just copy, Ghanaians like to just do what is trending. Everybody is doing it. Let me do some. So blinds, the idea of blinds actually, in some cases, blinds and shades are used if in the home, mostly in traditional and farmhouse spaces. And then again, because of the structured look of the blind, it makes a space look quite formal. Hence, the very reason why it's usually utilized in offices and corporate spaces. The blinds looking very structured here and there as compared to curtains, which are a bit flexible and soft for a home or a cozy space. So blinds, the idea of blinds, because of the look, usually is very advisable in an office space or a very formal environment. So if the bedroom, look at the bedroom, for instance, are you looking at a very cozy space, a very soft place you can sleep and relax? Then I don't think a blind is for you. The blind in your bedroom is a good idea. Go for curtains with soft fabrics.
Okay, curtains with soft fabric, not the Bunkweshi ones, as a Gamma would say. So, apart from plants, how does one incorporate feng shui into their homes? As the first question.
Okay, so feng shui actually the primary goal is to utilize arrangements in the space to enhance positivity. So plants are one of the key areas. Apart from that, the next thing you might want to take note of is how you place items in the space, how you arrange items in the space. Do I put the plants in the northern side of the room? Do I put it on the right? Do I put it here? So arrangements, placement of items in the room should be the key thing here you want to focus.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question, can you please tell us about how to draw an estimate for a client? I'm sure that would take some time, I suspect.
Okay, tell us how to draw an estimate. This one, as you said, it might take some time.
I guess
Selorm,
perhaps we'll defer that question. The person, I will share your number. If you could share your email address in the chat box so that details could be shared with the person, so we could move on. Thank you very much. The person hasn't renamed his device, but the name we have is iPhone. iPhone, if you could rename yourself, we're most grateful, so we could properly acknowledge you in due course. IPP Pinto says, solid presentation, kudos, Dream Maker. PAG Ajo says, Return Selorm, we have unfinished business, so 2 years and counting. Enjoy the talk. So that is to you. Before I come to the Michael of Rotary Club of Akosombo, Roten Eliampim says, RP, I want to ask a question on your behalf. Roten Selorm, does blind aids in night activities in the bedroom? I'm not sure of which night activities you are talking about, Roten. On this note, we'll move on to Michael of Rotary Club of Dansoman. Akosombo, I beg your pardon. Rotary Club of Akosombo Dam City. You have the floor, Michael. Roten Michael.
Thank you, Rotary Selorm. Nice presentation. I'll be a victim of it and experiencing a high blood pressure. I got an advice from internal decorator to have a dark curtains, a white room, and believe me, now my pressure is very down. So color and curtains means a lot in bedroom. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, at which stage in my building design do I bring a decorator to advise on spacing? Should I finish the building, or at the architecture stage, I should bring you guys on board?
Okay, so for an interior designer to be engaged in the building, I would advise right from the start, whilst you're putting together the plans, whilst the architect is drawing the plans, because just so to prevent, you don't make mistakes at the end of the day. You don't need to prevent making last minute mistakes that will cost you a lot. Because the designer coming in from the beginning would help to know, okay, because this room is a bedroom, let's do it this way and that way. Let's put this in place, let's put that in place, let's make provision for this. Before you get to the final stage and you realize, oh, this is a bedroom, I want to put a lamp here and there's no socket here. Oh, I want this type of light and we didn't even think of it. So for me, I would say right from the scratch.
Wow, this is interesting. Roten Selorm, thank you very much for such a thoughtful presentation. Roten Michael, this is a living testimony that we're hearing from you. Would invite Roten Ellie, I beg your pardon, to give us the vote of thanks. Roten Ellie, you have the floor. Roten Ellie. It looks like, President Selorm, there are more questions in the chat box. I believe the iPhone has put, can you also has put an email in there for a response to your question. Hello, Terence, it's 18:30 by my time. I would want to crave your indulgence for 10 additional minutes so we could wrap up this meeting. Many thanks. Rotarian Ellie, kindly give us a vote of thanks, please. Okay, P. Yoga, kindly give us a vote of thanks. I'm not sure Rotarian Ellie can hear us.
Happy? Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Rotarian Elom, as a Rotarian, normally I don't need to ask you these questions because you might have passed the test before even coming and talking to us. Am I right?
Yes.
Rotarian Elom.
The name is Selorm.
Sorry, sorry, I'm here. Return, I'm here.
Yes,
when you mentioned Elon, you're referring to return.
You got lost. Rotarian Selorm. So, did you pass the test before coming and talking to us?
Yes, please.
Sure. Is it the
Yes,
truth?
it is.
Everything you've shared with us.
Yes, it is the truth. It is
How?
fair to all.
Yes. Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Yes, it will.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Yes, I believe so. It will.
On behalf of the club, the Rotary Club of Accra East, I would like to express really our gratitude for making time and coming and edifying us tonight. Thank you. This certificate of appreciation will certainly be sent to you in due course. Thanks for having been with us.
Thank you.